Wonderful to have such a diverse panel and such a beautiful one. I'm going to spend 5 minutes admiring each of your saris, but no, let's talk business. Thank you so much. I had very good teachers. So thank you so much for joining me. It's been 2 years since you've not seen your students face to face. I wonder how it feels. Are you back in school? Are the students back in school? What are they like 2 years on? Some of them must have, grown up in that time. How do you feel? Yes. It must be quite emotional as well, no?
A very good evening to everybody. And I would really like to thank the Indian Express for inviting us for this very, very special day and having this discussion. Yes, to tell you frankly, when the lockdown was announced in March 2020, we did not know what is in store for us, So we thought probably after a few days the school would start and we would be back to the normal routine. But when it made clear to us that no, the school is not going to start, it was complete blackout for a few days.
Right.
We did not know what to do. What is going to happen? It was something which we were not prepared for. We were taken off guard. So then, we started panicky. We became panicky. What to do? What should be done? And then, the whole universe came together. So everybody started inquiring, communicating, collaborating. Agencies started approaching us, asking us that you would now have to start e-learning. The school is not going to open. And, you can imagine the teachers. They had tears in their eyes. They says, ma'am, I don't know how to operate a computer. How would I do, e-learning? How will I teach? I cannot. I can't even control the mouse, ma'am. What do I do? My God, that was really something which what looked to be a very disappointing situation. But then we thought, no, we have to start taking certain steps towards enabling our teachers. So we looked for agencies who could train our teachers. So we spent almost 3 weeks of continuous training of teachers so that they learn in a systematic way how they have to hone their ICT skills or they have to hone their digital skills. And then we started in some way. And, as the time went away, there was later more expertise built on, there was more exposure, and we started becoming more confident. And same was the story with the parents, and same was the story with the students also. It was not only the school, the teachers. It was people at home also, the students and the parents also. But I think everybody came together, understood the delicacy of the situation, and wanted to collaborate, communicate, and together to take care of the situation. So that happened. So the learning journey has been very long during these 2 years of pandemic, and which is still continuing. The journey of learning is continuing. But I can sum up in this manner: the teacher who used to say, ma'am, I cannot operate a computer. So I had a meeting with them, big session with them in February, what you people are doing, when there was a possibility of students coming to school. They say, ma'am, I'm using Kahoot, I'm using Quest application, I am using the Notepad, I am using the Flipgrid, I'm using this, and today I am looking out for new applications and tools so that I can outsmart my students and augur interest into the classes. And I had a talk with the student, a 3rd, 4th, 5th standard student, I had a talk with them. A 4th standard student verbatim saying, ma'am, when Appa used to prepare our PPTs, I used to admire him. Today, ma'am, I can prepare better PPT than my Appa. And 5th standard student said, ma'am, I'm using Flipgrid, and I can make videos and I can upload videos. So you can imagine the journey, the outcome of 2-year learning journey, where it has culminated. And I would say that this pandemic, though we had faced humongous challenges, and we have overcome a lot of fear and a lot of challenging situations, but every adversity has a silver lining. So the way we have adopted the technology and the way we have adopted to technological tools today, I can say that the kind of speed that we have gathered in remote learning, in e-learning, in virtual learning, whatever we may name it, it has hastened by almost a decade. We wouldn't have gained so much even 10 years henceforth if this had not happened. This has been a very big push for the school system, for the school education.
Wonderful. I think all of us can applaud that. And I feel teachers don't get enough love.
Yes.
I think we can applaud a little more. Yes. Shoba, may I come to you? Because we talked about technology, but emotionally, what have these kids been through? What have you been through? You know, just have the students come back? Have you met them? What is it like to see them again?
It was really, for the past 1.5 years, our campus was full of trees, birds, and animals, and we missed those cheerful noises of the students. When we used to come to do some administrative work or work from there, we were so miserable because we couldn't hear any of those cheerful voices or, the way they used to bounce the ball. The football used to come and hit at my windows. Now, I was missing that so much. Now they are back. It is so good to see. But yes, as you said, there have been losses in family, losses financially, and a lot of, things which have made them a little less bouncy, I would say. Yes, they have come in, and most of them have put on a lot of weight because of being couch potatoes. Yeah. And, they are all looking very chubby, cute, with a lot of hair all over them. And, it has been a time to relax probably for them because they really didn't need to get into the uniforms, get into the time slot, run around. They have lost that ability. And there are a lot of gaps in the learning also.
Right.
When you put it that way, what they used to learn when we physically teach them in there, I would say only around 60% of the learning has happened comfortably.
Right.
They've lost it. And the other thing, as I told you, because of these losses, they have felt the strain of the parents directly because they've been with them throughout.
Throughout, exactly. So they've been exposed to things
to all these things,
known,
right from death in the family to, the financial strain, to what everybody is going through, and that has made them empathetic. And actually we in our school, we had a project for the middle school as to what affected them during the pandemic.
Right.
And some of them had told about personally how they changed to be a better person. I mean, they had put a positive spin. That was what was very amazing, even though they had all faced loss and so many things. They even went up to as ma'am was pointing out, they went up to analyze what has happened throughout the world and how each industry or how it is, affected by the pandemic. And they were talking about vaccines. They have a lot of things to talk about. And they've learned a lot that way.
So, Prabha, were they in touch with each other? How have friendships been broken, new friendships been created? What is it like at a peer level? We talked about student-teacher, but what is it like at a peer level? Were they in touch with each other?
I think it's been a bit of a mixed bag.
Yeah.
For us as a school, we are a fairly small school, so the setting is very intimate, and culturally we are a very, very close-knit community. So both with the teachers and the parents and the children, through the pandemic, even with online classes going on, the teachers used to regularly be in touch with families. At the end of the class, and if there were families who wanted to talk, there were a facility where they could just message and get to talk with the teachers. Our school counselor has been the busiest team of people over the last 2 years because we've had children across all age groups. We've had parents reach out to say that they want to speak because they're also going through difficult times. So we've also curated sessions for parents of different age groups because parents have been noticing very changed behaviors in their children of different age groups. So we've curated sessions depending on how old their children are, to help them understand what they need to do and what they could do. And it's been like a peer sharing session for parents as well. So it's not always all the solutions coming from the counselor or from the teachers, But for us, more as the educators at school, to be able to facilitate sessions where they are hearing each other, one also feeling a sense of reassurance that we're all in this together.
Right.
And it's all right to sometimes feel absolutely demotivated and frustrated as a parent. It's completely understandable. So I think just having that culture of having a good relationship from the beginning has helped. But now that they're coming back into the physical spaces.
Especially, I want to know about the little children, you know,
Right.
those little children who were missing, just socializing. Poor things, they mustn't even be knowing how to climb the stairs
Right.
and things like that.
Yeah,
no?
I mean, there are routines that they have, forgotten,
Yeah.
that they are kind of getting used to once again.
Sorry, I think she wanted to, quick, sorry.
I want to tell
Yeah.
one thing. When the 12th standard came in the month of February before their board examinations, they were so uncomfortable walking and they were gazing down. None of them look up. 12th standard,
because they're
mind
not
you,
used to it.
12th standard, they forgotten their social skills totally.
Right.
They were totally devoid of confidence.
Yeah.
And somebody was dropping their pencil box, somebody was dropping this thing. Their social skills were at such a low ebb. It was really sad to see such
Yeah.
grown-up children, teenagers, showing those kind of...
And just imagine, these poor kids are going to go into college now. That's yet another trauma. So, I agree. So, what about the little children? I wonder how they have adapted to school.
We were actually thinking the youngest ones would find it difficult. I mean, young children, in any case, when they come to school for the first time, go through separation anxiety. But I don't think that the pandemic has, particularly exacerbated that for them, because I think as long as they've been able to see people online, and I think children today are digital natives, they're used to making WhatsApp calls to uncles and aunts and grandparents. So for them, it was like seeing people on a screen that they finally get to
FaceTime,
meet
whatever.
in person. The usual separation anxiety that they go through is something that's understandable. And I think for most schools, we've always looked at young children coming in initially for a couple of hours, give staggered timings, allow children to feel that it's all right. One of the things we are noticing, though, with some children is that kids are quite smart and they also know how to play their way around. They are trying to use the pandemic to actually want to say that I want to go back home. I have a cold, I have a cough.
I
Can you
agree
see
with
I'm
you.
sneezing? I need to be home. So,
Yeah,
for us to strike that balance
Yeah.
as teachers is something we're all learning to do.
Absolutely. In fact, I want to share here that, my younger boy has gone to college. And the first 2-3 days he told me, I want to come back. I said, 2 years you've been saying you want to go to college and now you want to come back. But exactly that. And they're trying to make excuses to come back. And how are you handling all this? It was bad enough that you were, separated from them. Now they're back and you're seeing so many differences.
So, one is Shri Gurubhyo Namaha. Good evening. I would, this has been common in our schools too. 4 of our branches in huge numbers. But, yes, of course, there has been some issues, concerns with the online schools. But when you ask the question about the young children and now when they have come back, are they really wanting to go back home soon? No, not right now. We don't see that because we've just started for the younger ones in the last few weeks. And the social aspect, of course, there's disconnect because they don't physically see them. But what we did different, and I'm sure many schools would have done that, but I'd like to highlight it here, that during the last 2 years, the online school was not just about academics. So we ensured that we stuck to our philosophy of education, we stuck to our belief system, and we did not get bogged down by the number of hours that was given as restricted hours on the online classes. So we kind of fit in and sneaked in a lot of our co-curricular activities.
How did you do that?
We did it from day one. I'm proud to say that we did that from day one, and we stuck to our philosophy and we stuck to our ethos, we stuck to our culture, the educational belief. And so one period during the day, and if it was just about 40 minutes for the youngest one, then about 10 minutes would still be something to do with co-curricular activities or once in a week. And we slowly increased it, but never went beyond the restricted, hours given to us. And every festival was celebrated, and every, every festival, every special days, right across from the preschool to all the way up to the 12th. So they had that opportunity to give, went to their, certain, their talents, to begin with their own talents. We gave that opportunity. So that way they could also connect, though on screen, because it was not just all about academics. And while they came to school, we made them feel welcome, with making it really, really pleasant, comfortable, bright, and decided, and we had mentioned this to the parents, that we are not going to be doing all of academics in the first few weeks.
Okay.
So it would be a good amount of between periods, something to calm themselves, something to leave them alone to speak to each other, to play around, to just, emotionally connect with the teachers, connect with their friends. So to that extent, I'm not saying it was all completely fine, obviously not, but these little initiatives helped them. And so that way, and every week we used to have, even during offline schools, of course, during regular schools, every class used to be having a general assembly.
Right.
So that was a time to showcase their talent or do something that they enjoy. So that was also given during the pandemic years. So the online, to that extent, gave them a holistic and not only thrusting academics.
Are there any incidents that you recall, anything that you remember when the kids came back which sort of struck you and shook you up? You felt that, for instance, the way you were saying, the way they were walking, for instance,
And in fact, the younger ones, you talked about they're missing their peers or anything like that. In fact, they were very upbeat. They just walked in very confidently and they wanted to yell. So first half an hour, they were, all the time they were yelling only, probably getting to know, and then, showing that yes, we are in school and this is how we do, we behave. So they were chatting very nicely. We also allowed them a lot of chatting,
Right.
For 1 week, there was no curriculum followed or anything like that. So they really enjoyed. They don't want to go back home. They say, why are you sending? In fact, the student which I was talking to the primary, they said, ma'am, do one thing. I said, what? You call us in the evening again. I said, but why? I'm not going to cook for you. How I can cook food for so many of you? 7 o'clock, you send us home. And then we go home, we have our food, and 8 o'clock we'll come. I say, how so many of you would sleep in school? Ma'am, we can adjust in our classroom. That's not an issue.
So they were yearning
to come to school.
Yearning to look at each other, talk
Yes.
to each other. Yes, that social thing was missing. And actually there's a plus thing in the younger ones, The parents were with them when the classes were going on.
That's right, yeah.
That put them into what the child was actually learning.
Right.
Usually when they send them off to school,
Yeah,
some of them are
that's it.
so busy, they come and
Switch
check
off.
the school app or their notebooks roughly. But this time when all the parents were sitting together and, it made a lot of difference in the learning for the younger ones. I feel that
Right.
happened also. But coming back was amazing. They really are having a good time. And now we were working in shift for some time, and now we have opened it completely for all the children in the class, and it's.
So
they're
has your
having a
window
good time.
pane been broken by the football?
No, not it. Waiting for that. Before that, we could send.
Right. So what about the teachers? I mean, we talked about the students. Even the teachers must have been anxious, because while you had been coming to school, just the fact of now dealing with a classroom full of noisy kids, how do you handle them, You can't just switch them off. They're there.
Yeah, now you can't mute them.
You can't mute them. Although it's usually the student who mutes the teacher.
Yes.
But did you have to counsel them as well? Did you have to talk to them?
It's been ongoing.
Yeah.
It's not been easy on teachers also,
Right.
because just like I think children and their families, teachers and their families have also
Have
gone
also
through a
gone
lot.
through so
They've also
much.
experienced loss and grief and financial difficulties. And I think sometimes because, and this is perhaps true across the world, it's largely women who are in the teaching profession. And you're already expected to be Mata Kali, and then with pandemic, it's just become even worse, because there's so much you need to do at home that you really can't stop. And because you've been working from home, I think there's a lot that's been taken for granted.
Yeah, it is
So
a fact.
for teachers, I think finally stepping out of their homes, I've had colleagues who have personally told me to say, I'm relieved to get out of home and to be able to come back to school.
And to dress up and wear proper clothes.
But I think alongside that, there's also a lot of guilt that they carry to say, am I not doing enough? Sometimes,
Right.
the children are in other schools who've got a different schedule.
Right.
So, how will I drop? How will I pick up? My child's class schedule is very different from what we are doing here. So I think a lot of that counseling is something that's ongoing. There's also a lot of fear, and I think like what Shoba ma'am was saying, I'm Shoba ma'am's student, by the way, so I'm super
really?
stoked to be on the same panel as her. So, I think for them also to come back after so many years, to get into a routine, to
Yeah.
leave home at 7:20 yet again, knowing you won't be back home till 4:30. So I should have planned my entire home schedule,
Exactly.
my children's schedule, any aged parents, in-laws, whoever you're with at
There's
home.
always
Yeah,
that.
You can't any longer get up between classes, go do the cooker on the stove and come back. I mean, it's
Yeah,
a lot of habits that are forgotten.
Yeah.
So, and I think we've had to be understanding, empathetic
Right.
about it, because I think a lot of people are also at this point honestly looking at career shifts, and I think as institutions that's something also that we have to be wary of.
Yeah.
We are looking at, because they're used to the comfort of homes.
So
I was
they'd rather
telling-
work from home.
Absolutely. The earlier over lunch, I was telling the Vedantu guys, you are our biggest competitors because teachers now want to do only online teaching
yeah.
sitting at home. So, we have to strike that balance to say that it's all right, we understand. So, again, school counselors are super busy with teachers as well, trying to help them
Right.
strike that balance and come back.
So a lot of tears, but a lot of laughter as well.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely, because the teachers, when you asked about talking to the teachers, that was what we talked about, counsel them, counseling them to say, how do you, have the children come back, and what do you do when they come back? So a lot
How
of
do you
laugh-
enforce discipline? To
No.
get back to that again?
No, that was not the thrust initially. That was not at
You
all
just
the
wanted
thrust.
them to
We
be.
just wanted them to come back happily to schools
Right.
and stay happily in the school till the school hours got over, and very short duration, of course, to begin with. And we want them to have good memories of being in the school.
Yeah.
And not push them and pressurize them into just disciplining and thrusting academics. So that's the strategy. That's the strategy for the joy of the children.
Right.
No, and so there is a lot of laughter. They're looking forward, and we've had several parents come back to us and write to us and message us to say, this is what makes the difference. So they are all definitely happy to come back and to talk about, even though you did. But I want to mention this. Prabha was mentioning about teachers, with so much pressure at home, coming to work is now and somebody said about wanting to come out.
Yeah.
It's the same with the students, especially in the high school.
Yeah.
Especially in the high school. I think
They want to
they
be at
wanted to
home.
be, no, they wanted to come
Come
out.
out,
They
but-
wanted to come out.
But yet, the anxiety of coming out, no. Or they
No,
happy?
but I agree with Mrs. Minoo Agarwal that yes, there might have been some awkwardness.
Right.
And there have been some, reservations, but that was initially for a few days or 1 or 2 weeks. But now they're all okay. They wanted to get back because I think apart from whatever issues that they've gone through, a loss of a family or a friend and all of it, they were also, I think, struggling with their own families being cooped up in the house. And when they come to school, even if they had some certain problems in the house or with themselves or with their friends or whatever, it was a place where they just forgot about things and, they would move on. But here to get stuck with the family 24 hours and for 2 years, it wasn't easy for them. And especially for the older ones.
Could you talk a little about the kids who are going to take the exams now and, how difficult it must be? I can't imagine.
The kids who are going to take the exam now are becoming serious. Like what happened is when we gave them one last exam in person, and they could really struggle with writing. The writing skills have taken a very big beating.
Yeah?
Even for students of 9 to 12.
Okay.
They're supposed to write lines, they were writing only words.
Yeah?
Yes.
Phrases.
Phrases.
That
And
is what
they
they're
could not put together their answers properly. They were very, very bad in their time management, and that brought in them nervousness.
Yeah.
Then, once the exam was over, then we said, forget it, doesn't matter. This exam was not to assess anything. This exam was just to know you and us together what we need to do. Then they said, yes, ma'am, we are ready. What we need to do? I said, you have to do into lot of written practice. Right. So we gave them lot of written practice in the classrooms, and now they are very confident. So now they say, ma'am, we are ready. We have picked up speed, because all these days when they were having live online classes, they were not doing any writing work. We can't blame them also. See, they forgot to, practice writing.
Imagine. So they must have been writing in WhatsApp language.
Yes.
Yeah, they were just using a paper to write down everything probably.
Right.
And also it gave an opportunity for children who are not motivated much to just switch off.
Right.
In their mind.
Yeah.
Their computers will be on and
Yeah.
they will be there. But sometimes we don't ask them to switch on the videos
Yeah.
when the online was
I know.
going. And learning was for the self-motivated, it happened. For the others, they missed out a lot of that, and that is now making the teachers worry.
Right.
Like, we were thinking that, okay, we have delivered so much, we have done this, we've given them all that.
So that
but what you
learning
get
gap-
back, yes, is going to be a serious issue.
Right.
In the next 2-3 years. It's not going to be over.
Right.
It's going to take a couple of more years for them to, come back to the level where they left.
Right.
And then make up for the next 2 years. So
Right.
it is going to be a lot of
It'll be a real
effort,
struggle.
yes? And that is where we should, modify the way we teach, maybe cut down a syllabus a little bit and see to that their basics are okay, so that when they go to the higher level, they become confident.
Right.
Yeah.
So that is very important.
What's the strategy forward? How will you make up for this learning gap? Will you have to continue with this kind of blended learning? Will you have to do online as well as in-person teaching?
Absolutely.
You have to.
Because now they've gotten used to this virtual classroom. You just put them and talk again and again with a chalk and talk, or lecture is not going to help. They need a lot of different pedagogy we'll have to use now.
Right.
So, and we will have to bring that confidence, that assertiveness, what was spoken about in the previous program, that assertiveness has to come. For that, we will have to make them more confident, and we will have to put in a lot of extra effort. And that is where your digital edge is going to help.
Right.
A lot, because each one is now at a different level.
Right.
In a classroom. So naturally, they will have to have some resource which will help them all work individually to what they really need and come to a common level. So that is where is going to be the difficulty for the next 2-3 years for all the teachers, and we will have to change tack, and we cannot go back to virtual, we cannot come back to the original.
Right.
So we'll have to now, walk the tightrope and make things more concrete for them.
Prabha, how are you going to do that?
So I think what Shoba ma'am just said, technology can be a great enabler over here. And even if COVID is just going to disappear from our lives, which it's not going to, but I'm saying hypothetically, even if it did, technology can always be looked at as an enabler for good pedagogical practices. I think very often when we look at large, scale and system level things, and we've been hearing a lot of great thoughts about it all day today, is that we often tend to look at things from a very numerical standpoint of saying, we have so many classrooms equipped with smart boards, we have X number of computers, we have so many tablets. Well, that's just the hardware that you have in place. Now, what we need to look at actually is looking at how we can integrate technology. Because if we didn't do that, we'd be putting the cart before the horse, which is a very often repeated mistake. So if in technology integration, it's really about saying, what is it my students have to learn? Why are they learning this? and in what way can technology actually help learn
Right.
this. So sometimes you can use technology simply to substitute something that you were doing in a class. Sometimes you can use it to completely change the way you would do something. So Minoo ma'am was earlier talking about, teachers becoming very familiar with Flipgrid. Flipgrid is basically an app where children can record their voice or record their video with their voice. So, if you want to just say that instead of you talking in the class, instead you record a Flipgrid video,
And
nothing
come
wrong
and-
with it. That's a
and come and
substitution.
present it,
Or you
yeah.
can completely redefine,
Right.
I mean, the usage of the Flipgrid to say, once this is recorded, let's put it all on a blog, let's use this to
Right.
collaborate with somebody else. So let's open out the world
Right.
and look at how we can have better collaboration and communication. So it is about how we can use technology as an enabler.
I wonder what these kids will grow up to become.
Their digital skills are so fine,
Yeah.
I can't tell you. My God, they have. for
They'll
their-
all set up some tech startups or something like that.
For their class assemblies, they have a teaser first.
Wow.
The next class assembly, there is a teaser.
Really?
Yeah. And they give, when the titles, they give editing, this, in a typical how we see the movie hall, that way they make the programs. So we have theme-based assemblies for every section.
Right.
So it is on, multiple intelligence.
Right.
So whole section, all students are divided as per their interest.
Right.
Musical, numerical, whatever way they have interested. Every single child has to participate. And all of them were, the coordinating with the teachers, with their friends, with their this. And assembly has been so great, I tell you. All assemblies, everything.
Wonderful. Anything that has really surprised you about these kids when they've come back? Like she was talking about their digital skills. What has surprised you?
I should really mention that I have not seen all of them, because I'm more at the administration
Right.
and co-op management and all that. That doesn't mean I'm not gone to school, but to interact with them has not been inside the classrooms.
Right.
But we recently had a Speak Make a program in the school.
Okay.
So I was there and they were all just so happy to be part of a program live and enjoying that.
Right.
So they've actually come back, I would say, with not so much of reservation, and we have also taken efforts to make them feel. So right now, I won't directly be able to answer that what surprise is, because the feedback that we have got from our teachers and heads have been that they have all settled down beautifully
Right.
even within a few days.
Right.
So it's not anything alarming
Right.
as a surprise. And I think the surprise is more that
That
maybe we had we had expected a lot of reservations and a lot
Right.
of
That's the surprise.
reluctance.
Yeah.
And that actually is a surprise. That
Wonderful.
it's not there is a surprise.
Wonderful. Thank you so much. It was such a pleasure. And it's also such an emotional thing for all of
It
you,
is.
I think.
I get
yeah.
goosebumps when
Yeah.
thinking about these children
Yeah.
and when they're actually coming back to school.
Right.
It's been wonderful to have them back.
But also quite traumatic, I think, these 2 years.
And
I
hats
think
off to the
yeah.
teachers.
Yeah, I was
Really
about to say, I think they all deserve a round of applause because it's been such a hard time for everyone. I salute all of you. I think you've just been there and just kept at it and kept these kids, their hopes alive. Thank you.
And I want to say this because on behalf of many schools, and some schools, of course, have been great
Yeah.
on the technology aspect, but we were very nascent and we took baby steps. And today, I don't think we can claim that we are even at the adolescent stage. We are still toddlers.
Right.
And okay,
But
we'll
it's
see.
nice. We're all supposed to be students for life.
Yes, and we have to kind of unabashedly admit that we've learned so much from the
Right.
students. And so it's going to be a learning and teaching together.
So, right. Yeah, you were saying?
Yeah, I was just going to say that the teachers were the most changed into learners really.
Right,
And they
right.
had to be, unceremoniously, as you said, they were pushed into it and they came out beautifully.
Right.
And the amount of time they've spent in working, learning new skills,
Yeah.
putting it across, will this be okay? And asking the student, is this okay? Was it clear? Can you help me, read,
Right.
do this again? And they were actually sitting with the students to learn, and the students became the teachers.
Wonderful.
That was a very amazing thing which
Right.
happened.
If we may say so, I'm not exaggerating, it should have been 24/7.
Very true.
Absolutely.
Right. Thank you so much. Minoo, you wanted to say something?
No, I just wanted to say that when the teachers were going through the difficult phase
Yeah.
of learning to operate computers, to learn about tools and all those things, there used to be a lot of self-doubts in their mind, confusion, disappointment. So quite a number of days when the government used to declare that the school should not work
Yeah.
and the teacher used to work from home. But whichever days they used to come, we used to call them all in an open space under the trees and all
Right.
that. And we used to have a tea party every week. So every week we will have snacks and tea together.
Please
and
continue that. Continue that.
No discussion of academics. It will be only tea party and we will sing, we will crack jokes and we will have very good time. So that was kind of a stress buster for the teachers and we used to praise them like anything. That they are the real heroes, the teachers, not us, the administrators. The teachers are the real heroes, to tell you frankly.
Thank you so much. It was so wonderful, but also very emotional. Thank you.